Crazy ride, you're breaking the fences, bringing my heart to life. life with you. Life with you. It's a wild, wild life with you. There's no hesitation, no doubt in my mind. You save me from safe, I am brave in your life. It's a wild, wild life with you. It's wild. Yeah. It's wild. It's wild.
You're the first, you're the alpha, maker of the earth. By your word, you created life out of the dirt. Because you hold the world inside of your hands, you can move mountains at your command. You hold the world inside of your hands, you can move mountains at your command. God of glory, you are wonderful, wonderful. Christ the mighty King of all the universe. You are holy, you are powerful, powerful. Lift down praises to the God of all, God of all, God of all the earth. God of all the earth. Lift down praises to the God of all, God of all, God of all the earth. All the sea, all the land shows your glory, tells of who you are. It's the love of the Maker, shaping who we are. Because you hold the world inside of your hands, you can move mountains at your command. You hold the world inside of your hands, you can move mountains at your command. God of glory, you are wonderful, wonderful. Christ the mighty King of all the universe. You are holy, you are powerful, powerful. Lift down praises to the God of all, God of all, God of all the earth. God of all the earth. Lift down praises to the God of all, God of all, God of all the earth. God, you hold the world up, so we lift your praise up. God, you hold the world up, so we lift your praise up. God, you hold the world up, so we lift your praise up. God, you hold the world up, so we lift your praise up. God of glory, you are wonderful, wonderful. Christ the mighty King of all the universe. You are holy, you are powerful, powerful. Lift down praises to the God of all, God of all, God of all the earth. God of all the earth. God of all the earth. Lift down praises to the God of all, God of all, God of all the earth. Lift down praises to the God of all, God of all, God of all the earth.
I'm so grateful for your patience, all the ways you carry me. You have always left a light on, so I can see you wait for me.
I'm invited to the table. You are saving me a seat. In your house I know I'm worthy, 'cause you died for me. You set me free.
No matter where I run, grace will follow. The Father's love is all I know. I never need to doubt that you want me. You are standing here,
me. I'll forever run toward the one who calls me home. Everything I'm longing for is in you alone.
No matter where I run, grace will follow. The Father's love is all I know. I never need to doubt that you want me. You are standing here saying, welcome home. Welcome home. No matter where I run, grace will follow. The Father's love is all I know. I never need to doubt that you want me. You are standing here saying, welcome home. Welcome home. I'll forever run toward the one who calls me home. Everything I'm longing for is in you alone. No matter where I run, grace will follow. The Father's love is all I know. I never need to doubt that you want me. You are standing here saying, welcome home. Welcome home. Welcome home. You are standing here saying, welcome home.
Hey everyone, welcome to Church at Home.
Hello, and if you're joining us for the first time, super happy that you're here. We love meeting new friends, so make sure that you say hello in the comments because we'd love to have a chat. And if you're in Melbourne, let us know how you've been surviving lockdown.
I know.
Any creative ideas?
Oh, we do. We need all the ideas we can get.
Yes.
How about you? What are you doing to survive?
Gee, living life, my dressing gown.
Yeah, I've like worn nothing but activewear. I was so excited today. I was like, I'm gonna wear a hat, I'm gonna wear a sparkly skirt,
Oh.
and I'm gonna get dressed up.
Maybe next week I should just come in my dressing gown.
Come in a
Don't have to
tuxedo,
change.
just 'cause you
Oh,
can.
yeah, you make the most of it.
But anyway, we want to know how you're surviving lockdown, what your creative ideas are. Are you cooking? Are you exercising? Are you making smoothies?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Put it in the comments. Let's make it a bit of a competition. Who is surviving the best?
So where's the coolest ideas?
Yes,
that
exactly.
we can steal.
I love it.
But seriously, it is also a difficult season. And we do want to let you know that we're here for you. We're still here and we're still the church. So let us know in the comments if you want to chat to someone and we can pray for you. You can fill out a prayer request form if you've got something specific.
Yeah.
Or you can give the office a buzz through the week if now isn't a good time. Either way, just reach out and don't do life alone.
Yeah. And hey, look, this is the perfect time to send an encouragement to someone. So head to the link, pop in their name, tell them what you appreciate about them, what you love about them, and we will make sure that we get it to them. So let's spread some joy and encouragement around this place, right?
Yeah. And speaking of encouragement, our senior pastor Rick has a message.
Hey church, I just want to take a minute to touch base and let you know that you've been on my heart and in my prayers this week, and hasn't it been another tough one? Those of us in Melbourne are in extended lockdown, and as this goes to air, we're also subject to a night curfew. All of this to try and drive down COVID infections in our city, although it's extremely hard to process for most of us. Let's just pray that it works. We know that there are many in our community who are facing financial or health and family dynamics which are stressful and difficult to navigate. So, in the midst of the circumstances and seasons that you face today, I want you to know that we love you, that our church exists to serve you and to encourage you in any way we can. So please, let us know of any way we can support you in this time. I remain hopeful that as a church we will emerge from these times stronger and unified and passionate about fulfilling the mission that Jesus gave to us as his followers. Today, wherever you're connecting from, I would value your prayers, especially for people who have been personally and drastically impacted by this pandemic. In the meantime, I'm so thankful to gather with you in this way with Church at Home. And I'm thankful also for a God who remains faithful and who provides us with endless hope, especially in these trying times. So may the Lord bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. And may he look upon you with favour and bring peace to your heart.
Thanks, Rick. You are forever amazing, and we just thank you so much for your leadership in this time. And, you know, I was thinking about giving and why God asks us to give. And I'm sure that there are many, many reasons, and I can't claim to know what's in God's head, but I honestly think that one of the reasons that he calls us to give is because he knows that it's good for us. I had a friend message me earlier in the week just telling me that he was praying for me and Josh and the girls. And, you know, I sort of said, how are you going? How are you coping with all the lockdown life? Because he's a pastor and a personal trainer, so he has no work. And he just said, I'm just trying to stay others focused. And that really stuck with me and challenged me. And I hope it challenges you too, that we have a lot of stuff that's out of our control at the moment. We can't control where we can go, what we can do, but we can control our response, and we can stay others focused instead of focusing on our own stuff. So, you know, you can do that by giving to the incredible work that the church is doing in the community and in PNG. You can do that by filling out the encouragement form. You can do that by praying for the church and for your friends and letting them know that you're praying for them. Or, like, you know, putting together a care package or something. And,
it's good.
you know, if they're within 5K, dropping it at the door, covering it in sanitizer, and, you know, or sending it in the mail. But let's continue to be others focused this week and really take up that challenge. And I'm going to as well. And if you do want to give, which I hope you do, you can do that via the details provided.
Yeah, it's really good, Trey.
Thank you.
I love it. There's, more than one way to give.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But let's do all the ways.
Do everything. We have been so looking forward to our Children's Fund musical spectacular
Yes.
as well. We're deep in the planning, madly working to get that off the ground. We've got incredible music plans
Yes.
to raise much needed funds for our charity and our school in PNG. But due to COVID, we have had to change the date. Yes, we will keep you posted with all the details and changes, so stay tuned. It's still very exciting.
It is. And look, to be honest, no one ever thinks that the first date is going to be the actual date anymore. Like, it's always going to be changed because of lockdown. So
It's the same as...
we adapt.
Yeah, the first date's never the best.
Exactly.
It's the second date, that's when you go out to dinner and...
It's going to be fabulous. But speaking of constant changes and not knowing what's going on, have you signed up for church news? Because if you want to know what's going on and if there's crazy changes happening, we will let you know in our weekly email all the latest things that are happening, like the spectacular, like new dates for things, or whether we've got church or not, will be dropped into your inbox automatically weekly. So make sure that you sign up via the link.
So good. I think we can make it even more exciting. You know, maybe down the track we can have like the goss of, you know, like,
Oh, did you know that Jake...
he wore this funny hat the other day at church.
Same outfit twice. Church goss under church
Oh,
news.
that'd be great.
We'll see how Jesus
In the comments, you can write church goss just about us. About, it's like, oh, whoa, did you see Jacob's
Just
jacket?
treat the
Did you
kid
know it's got a
wearing a
stain in the
spice.
back of his shirt?
He does have a stain on the
True.
back of his shirt.
True.
Guys, Jacob's got a stain on the back of his shirt.
Church goss.
Don't tell.
See it first at church news.
Okay, now we're going to get holy again, all right? Today we are in for an absolute treat. We have got one of our good friends from Perth. Oh, Perth. Have a good
Freedom.
life. Mark Pomery, and he is sharing an awesome and a little bit cheeky message around favour.
Yeah.
I love Mark. He's so good, isn't he?
Such a gem.
Yeah.
When I first heard and still hear Mark Pomeroy, I always think Mark Pomegranate. And I love pomegranates.
I love pomegranates
Can't get it
too.
out of my head, though.
Either way, we're good.
Yeah, very excited for what he has to say. But first, let's worship.
Welcome back to Church Gateway. Why don't we stand on our feet? We are called to enter God's presence with thanksgiving and praise. So why don't you join with us this morning as we sing praises to our God. We will dance. We will dance, we will dance in the joy of the Lord, for you are the victory. At the precious name of Jesus, every chain is broken free. We will sing, we will shout at the top of our lungs. You have walked us through the night. So now every generation walk by faith and not by sight. is rising. Hope is rising like the sun. You're not finished, you're not done. You keep your promise, everyone. Greater things are yet to come. Hope is rising like the sun. You're not finished, you're not done. You keep your promise, everyone. Greater things are yet to come. Hope is rising like the sun. You're not finished, you're not done. You keep your promise, everyone. Greater things are yet to come. All of praise to you alone. You're the one that never fails. You are the God of endless hope. All of praise to you alone. You're the one that never fails. You are the God of endless hope. You are the God of endless hope. You are the God of endless hope. Give him some praise. We believe that God is as essential to our lives as the air that we breathe. So why don't you join with us as we sing? Breathe in, breathe out. Stop the endless chase. Surrender all and I rest in grace. No need to worry when I can choose to praise. I find my peace when I call out your name. Into wildest oceans you have spoken. Here with you in this moment, you're my focus. Jesus, you're the air I breathe. You're the only thing I need. You have given life to me. Jesus, you're the air I breathe.
Well, hey there, Gateway Church. Great to be with you again. We've been getting to know each other over the last few months, if we didn't already know each other. So, I want to jump right in. Or as my wife Louisa's Italian grandmother would say, no muck around. So let's not muck around. And how about if you've got your Bible or your Bible app handy, grab that and pop it open to Exodus chapter 34. This is the second book of the entire Bible, Exodus chapter 34. And I'm going to drop us into the most quoted passage from the Bible in the Bible. It's kind of like retweeted more than any other passage ever in the Bible. It's like the Bible's very own greatest hit within the Bible, kind of a meta concept, but it's something that God himself said, it's 5 facts that God said about himself. Critical facts that he wanted the people that he was speaking to at that time to know these things about himself. And then the fact that this very thing, these 5 facts about God were re-quoted and re-quoted and re-quoted and re-quoted suggests that it wasn't just the people that he was telling them at the time that it was important, but rather that he wanted everybody, generation after generation after generation, to know these things about him, including us and including the generations to follow. Now, the people that he spoke to, here's the backstory. He spoke these 5 facts to the nation of Israel. The nation of Israel had been held captive collectively in Egypt by the Egyptian pharaohs there, held in slavery for hundreds of years until finally God used a guy named Moses to lead them out of Egypt. And in fact, God had promised them a land. So he wasn't just taking them from somewhere, he was actually delivering them to somewhere. And so we catch them, this nation of Israel, while they were on this journey. They'd left Egypt, but they hadn't yet arrived in the land that God had promised. And they were getting a little bit antsy. They were getting a little bit irrational. I mean, at one point, they actually built a golden calf, like a cow, a golden calf, a statue. And then they said to the statue that they just created, "Behold the God who brought us out of Egypt." It's like, what? I mean, here was the final clue that things were about to get unhinged. And so God says, "Hey, Moses, come here. We need to have a chat." And God said this to Moses, Yahweh, he's saying, the Lord. He's like, "Hello, Moses, it's me. I'm here, not the golden calf, the one that delivered you from Egypt and that's promised you a land over there." The God, and here's the 5 things that God talked about. Not just that I'm God in this kind of, I'm God. He broke it down. I'm the God of compassion and mercy, and I'm slow to anger, and I'm filled with unfailing love, thank God, and faithfulness. And here's the good thing about God. God is not into gaslighting. If he says it, then that's true. He's not trying to shade the truth. He's not trying to quote alternate facts. No. So when he says these things about himself, we can actually take them to be truth, to be facts. So the title of today's message is this.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
Yep. The title, so good, so nice, we're going to play it twice. The title of today's message is this.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
And I want to drill into the second of these things that God declared about himself, that he's the God of mercy. Now, this word mercy can also be translated grace, can also be translated favor, sort of interchangeable and overlapping. So I want to actually focus on this concept of favor, that God is someone who demonstrates and shows favor. Now, simple definition of favor, because it's not necessarily a word we use a lot. Maybe, I don't know the last time it came up in a conversation you had, but to say favor is, the definition I like is to endorse. And it's kind of like if you write a book, before that book's published, you'll go looking for someone to write the foreword. And what you'll typically look for is somebody that's ahead of you in the book writing world, someone who's seen to be having more authority and more experience. And what you're asking them to do is to endorse you. And by endorsing you, the hope is that you'll get a leg up. I mean, you've still had to do the work. You still had to do most of the heavy lifting, but they'll give you that extra acceleration. Oprah Winfrey, when she had her TV show and also her magazine, she had a Book of the Month club. And someone that wrote a book that came on her radar, it might have sold okay. We don't know, but chances are it might have sold a few thousand copies. But when Oprah made that book her Book of the Month, she was effectively giving her endorsement. She was effectively showing favor towards that author. And it was not uncommon for that book each month, whichever the book was, to sell 200,000 or 1 million copies simply because it received Oprah's favor. And so because this is who God says he is, this is actually what he does. Because of that, we can expect God's favor. And I have loved the topic of favor, but I've never preached on it in 20 years as a professional Christian. And here's why. People, when you start to talk about this idea of God showing favor, it can get a little bit wonky real quick. So it's important to understand, firstly, that God's love and God's favor are not the same thing. God's love is something he gives unconditionally. God's love is something he shows to people who ever want to put themselves in a relationship with him. They will receive his unconditional love. And we can take no credit for that. It has no bearing on our behavior. It's given to us as a free gift unconditionally. But his favor is not the same as his unconditional love. And I'll talk about more on that later. Another mistake and things that people can get wonky about when we talk about favor is that then they start to think, well, only good things will ever happen to me. If I'm expecting God's favor, nothing bad will ever happen to me. It's only ever going to be sunshine and unicorns. And I'm never going to be disappointed again. Well, no. And the third thing when we start to talk about favor is people too often associate that with the idea that God's favor simply boils down to newer, better, bigger, shinier, and it pertains to stuff. And the person with the stuff is obviously the person that's receiving God's favor. And yet that's not the purpose of favor at all. I mean, God might show us favor with giving us something newer or better or shinier or bigger. But the ultimate purpose of God giving us his favor, of him endorsing us, of him giving us a leg up, is to actually bring him glory. In such a way that we recognize, just like the author would recognize from Oprah, is that I can't take any credit for that endorsement. I'm receiving the benefits of that, but all the glory have to go to God. And we need God's favor because the levels that God's calling us to and the purpose that God's calling us to live, we're going to need some assistance. We're going to need a leg up. And here's some of what God's favor can actually cause in our lives. It can open doors that we can't open. It can cause good breaks to come our way. God's favor can cause the right people to come our way. Can get you the business deal that you bid on. Can get you the promotion that you may not have actually on paper been next in line for, but God endorsed you. God showed you his favor, and you get the benefit of that, but you can't take any credit for that. Now, the topic of favor came onto my radar like front and center around 20 years ago. And I was reading a passage from Genesis, right in the beginning, the origins story in the Bible, reading something, and it literally just about knocked me off my seat when I read it. In the context of what I was reading was that God, he created the heavens and the earth, and then his most majestic creation was the thing he was the most proudest about was creating humanity. And despite starting things as a perfect creation of God the Creator, we started to mess things up. Humanity started to get off track. So much so that God, despite giving us a second chance and a third chance and a fourth chance and a warning and staging intervention over here, he got to the point where he couldn't take it anymore. And he had decided that his best play was to take the nuclear option and just destroy everyone and everything. Pretty extreme. And I kept reading. And then in Genesis chapter 6, verse 8, I read these 8 words. But Noah found favor with the Lord. God's about to take the nuclear option, but decides to give Noah and his family a pass. And he asked them, told him he was going to flood the earth, and he asked Noah to build him a boat 140 meters long, which was insane to pitch that to Noah for 2 reasons. One, Noah wasn't a builder. You'd think if you're going to ask someone to build something out of wood 140 meters long that you probably pick someone with a little bit of experience in that field. No, Noah had no experience as a builder. And the other reason that was insane is that it wasn't even raining. Who and why would you need a boat, an ark, a ship, a vessel 140 meters long, dry docked in your front yard? And despite that, Noah said yes. And so I'm reading that and I'm like, God was going to take the nuclear option, but he gave Noah and his family a pass. And the only description he gave was that Noah found favor with the Lord. The good thing is that favor leaves clues, that you can almost always see something upstream that led to somebody receiving God's favor in a particular moment in time. So I kept reading. I zoomed out, and this is some of what's said about Noah. In verse 9, this is the account of Noah and his family. Noah was a righteous man, the only blameless person living on earth at the time, and he walked in close fellowship with God. He was righteous. He lived right. He didn't compromise. And he prioritized his relationship with God above other things. And then in verse 22, so Noah did everything exactly as God had commanded him. God had an assurance because he knew Noah's heart that whatever he asked of Noah, Noah would do it without cutting corners, without saying, oh, what do you know, God? Obedience. Noah demonstrated obedience with the ark, but he had been demonstrating obedience throughout his entire life up to that point. So in the few minutes we have remaining together, I want to zoom in on this topic of obedience, and it does not sound sexy. You're like, oh, you don't get to tell me what to do. Well, God does get to tell you what to do, but it's incumbent on us whether we want to say yes. And you can say no, but when God asks us or instructs us, it's because he's got purpose waiting. He's got better waiting. And so anytime that we say no deal, I'm not going to obey you, God. You can't tell me what to do. Fine. but we and the purpose God's put us on this earth to accomplish gets blocked as well. So let me drop us into 3 things that Jesus taught that are areas that are universal, that we as Jesus followers, all of us, are instructed to obey. So in Luke chapter 16, I'm going to drop you right into there. Luke chapter 16, I'm going to drop us into the New International Version. About 3 things, 3 areas that Jesus instructed us to obey him in. And spoiler, they all come with a promise attached. Verse 10, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. And whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much. See, too many people hope that God's going to treat them like an irresponsible grandparent. Like it doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter how much you disobey, they're still going to give you what you want. God doesn't waste resources. He's looking for whether we are trustworthy in what we currently have. And by being trustworthy in what we currently have, we're demonstrating that we're poised and ready and we can be trusted with some more opportunity, some more responsibility, some more favor. Many years ago, I was part of a church, and in one of the teams in this church, one of the guys that was sort of like second or third on the food chain in this team, they were discovered as saying that they hope one day to lead that team, which is great. I mean, if you want to take on more responsibility, brilliant. And yet their next sentence was, I've got a lot of great ideas for how this team can be more effective, and I'm going to hold on to them until I get to be the leader of this team. Well, no surprise to learn, they never got to be the leader of that team because it came out that they were holding back, and we knew, why would we trust you with more responsibility if you're not even bringing the best you have at the level that you're currently operating in? Be trustworthy with little defined as what you currently have. Even if you think you deserve more, what do you have in your hand now? And that's going to give God a clue as to whether he can trust you with more. And then Jesus went on to say, so if you've not been trustworthy in handling worldly wealth, who will trust you with true riches? And you'll be like, huh? I thought worldly wealth was true riches. And Jesus is like, no, not in my kingdom it ain't. It's not unimportant, but it's not the most important. And yet he actually lays out that if we are trustworthy in handling money and stuff, that's a clue as to whether we're someone who can be trusted with handling the more precious things in life, like people and responsibility and opportunity. You know, this was the last message I taught at Gateway, keep the change. And I mentioned we teach about managing money and stuff every single year, because whilst it's not the true riches, it's not unimportant, and it demonstrates whether we are someone that can be trusted with the true riches of God's kingdom. It's a gateway, if you like. See what I did there? And finally, Jesus says, and if you've not been trustworthy with someone else's property, who will give you property of your own? And God buried my nose in this one years ago. One of my friends at the time, he was living in a rental property, wasn't married, living in a rental property. And I checked in with him one day and just said, you know, typical Aussie question, hey, so what did you get up to on the weekend? And he said, oh, I spent the weekend putting in reticulation at my house. And I said, your house? Don't you rent? And he says, yeah, I'm renting. And I put reticulation in. And I said to him, did the owner of the property like pay, for the equipment and pay you for your time? And he's like, no. And I'm like, huh? Did he contribute anything to it? And my friend said, no, I got his permission to do it, but I paid for all the materials and I did all the work, and now this property isn't reticulated. And I said to him, are you completely bonkers? This isn't your house. And he very matter-of-factly quoted Jesus, Luke chapter 16, verse 12. And he said, Mark, I want to own my own house sooner rather than later. So I'm treating the current house that I live in, that I don't own, as if it was my own, and trusting that God himself will show me favor and give me the opportunity to buy my own house. And no spoilers, that is precisely what he experienced in his life. So, hey, friends, that's a flyover of favor. And there's plenty more to that topic. But certainly hope that you've benefited from this. It's a great honor for me to be with you on this journey together. And I look forward to the next time I speak. And I can tell you it's going to be a pretty juicy topic. See you then.
You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. 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 That is who you are.
Such a great message. Just a great reminder to be faithful with what we have now in everything. It's relationships, time, finances,
All of it.
all your stuff.
And hey, let's flood Mark with encouragement today. We would love to, as a church, send dozens and dozens of messages to him, letting him know how much his message meant and what stood out to us. So it was such a blessing having him serve us in this way today. So before we tune out, get your phones out, go to the link and click on that encouragement form, and let's bombard him with encouragement, Gateway style.
Yeah.
And while you're there, encourage someone else as well. We'll get 2 for 1.
Yeah.
2 for 1 special
2 for
on
1.
encouragements
2 for
today.
1. Do you remember when you used to get the handwritten encouragement
Oh,
cards?
those were the
And you get ones
days.
you couldn't read.
Yeah, that weren't legible.
So you have to take it to your mum and say, what's this saying? She'd
Yeah.
say, I'm not sure. She'd take it to Nan.
Try and decipher it like a detective.
Yeah. It was fun. It made the encouragement last even longer.
It was special.
Yeah.
You can have
Anyway, we're looking forward to seeing your encouragements. And we'll see you all on Sunday next week at 10 a.m. for Church at Home.
See you then.
Breathe in, breathe out. Stop the endless chase. Surrender all and I rest in grace. No need to worry when I can choose to praise. I find my peace when I call out your name. Even to wild distortions you have spoken.
edges.